Yo, what's going on guys? In today's video, I wanted to make a build abusing this Spore-Born and Shield Anoint, and I got the idea to do this with Tediores. So I figured what better way to do all that than by also using the Graveborn tree and doubling this as a companion build. Now I do have another idea for a pure Tediore explosion build using a different skill tree, and that will be coming soon. But today we're going to be messing around with companions. Now I do want to point out at the very beginning of this video that I don't have any chaotic or volatile purple Tediores, at least not the ones that I want and that I prefer to use for this build. So the damage of this build can only get higher from what you're seeing here. I am also not perfectly element matching. You can tell on some of the parasite kills that once we get through his shield, we do way crazier damage to him. And that's because we don't have perfect gear for this build. So the damage can only go up. Plus, in this video, of course, we're gonna have some damage testing for you guys because I found out something very important with the companion damage formula that is actually a bad thing, and no one else has talked about this on YouTube yet. This is gonna help you optimize your damage, and it really helped me optimize my damage because this build was not super strong or super impressive, and then I decided to do some damage testing, and I actually changed a lot of gear and anointments than what I was originally going with and what originally made sense, and that instantly ramped up my damage and made it look much more impressive than before. And like I said, that's without any chaotic Tediores and not element matching most of the time. So with that long ass intro out of the way, let's get straight into the build. Alrighty, so we're going to be talking about a lot of the gear in this build. Really, I think we should talk about the damage math first. Now, I will say, as this build sits, it is a better mobbing build than it is bossing. And I think that's just because I don't have any chaotic Tediores. I do have some footage probably playing right now of one of the raid boss kills, and you can see our damage is pretty decent, but it's not like we're absolutely shredding them or anything like that. However, with that being said, our mobbing is absolutely insane, and that's actually one of the reasons why our bossing can suffer sometimes, because our Tediores will destroy every single mob in the area, and sometimes when a boss knocks you, there's no mobs left to kill. So that'll prove to you that this is an insane mobbing build. And once I get some chaotic Tediores of the element and the, just like the best gear for this build, I bet we will be able to shred the raid bosses. And yeah, so let's go ahead, and I'm actually just gonna pull out the notepad. It's kind of hard whenever I have to do damage testing versus actual mobs instead of the testing dummy. It's easier for me to just record my results and show you guys what I got. Alrighty, so when it came, so let's pull out some of this damage testing so that way I can make you guys aware of what actually does damage with Tediores in this game. And now this damage testing is for the gun Tediores because most of the damage in my build, at least, is by using gun Tediores, or gun companions, I should say, not our actual companions, although they do good damage, not spell companions, and yeah, I would say the bulk of this damage comes from our actual Tediores themselves, so this is the most important damage to focus on, and let me go ahead and just show you guys the results I got while testing. So first things first, you can see this pistol does 474 damage, and when you shoot one bullet out of the mag and reload, it's gonna shoot for 474. So that was our first test right here. We got 474. This is with 0 skills, 0 items equipped, and stuff like that. Then all I did was spec 3 points into thralls, and with 3 stacks active because I had 2 companions plus the gun with wings thrown. That's gonna be times 1.27 because it's 9% per stack, and it gave us 602, so the math is adding up so far. Then what's really awesome is these actually work with the Barrage Anointment, and that's what's really fun about this version of the build compared to some other Graveborn builds you saw. And I did some testing with the Barrage Anointment. So we take 602, we multiply that by 0.3, then we multiply that by 0.95 because it's poison versus flesh. And then you can see that we're gonna multiply this by thralls again, and this anointment actually double dips. So you can see when I wrote down the number 218, and then we do the math for it, we get the same result. So the math is adding up. And what's crazy about this build is this Barrage Anointment is gonna double dip all of your on-hit bonuses, which is very, very, very powerful. We have lots of on-hit bonuses. It's not just Thralls, but I used Thralls to prove that it is double dipping. Next, I went ahead and actually spec'd into, I think it's called Eagle Eye. I went ahead and spec'd into Eagle Eye, which is a 20% gun damage bonus. So let's go back to, it was 601.98. Or well, here, let's just start over. 474 times 1.27. This was for Thralls. And then I spec'd into 20% gun damage. And you can see that gives us 722. And when I do the math, it matches 722. So our Throne Tediores will get gun damage bonuses, and then it will get all on-hit bonuses. And what on-hit bonuses are like Thralls, just anything that says bonus damage or like all damage on like rings and stuff. Those are like good on-hit bonuses. Finally, I spec'd 5 points into companion damage, the very first companion skill in the Spore-Born tree, and we got no damage bonus from companion damage onto our guns. And that is the news that I'm gonna share with you guys that I don't think anyone has said on YouTube yet, because I don't know if anyone's actually done damage testing like I do, and that's why you guys come to this channel. Tediore companions do not get companion damage bonuses, because when I added companion damage, still had 3 stacks of Thralls on these, I got the same number as I did before. Hey guys, I actually just wanted to hop in here real quick. This is an edit to my original video. I did some more testing with the other types of weapons, and it turns out pixies and hydras both work differently than the guns with wings. Pixies get spell damage and companion damage. Hydras do get companion damage. But I just wanted to let you guys know, even with that being said, this is still possibly the proper way to make this build. I would still have to math it out a little bit, but basically the point is, between like this skill right here, which gives us 90% companion damage with no other skill points into this, even though you can get more points into this on your class mod, like you're still getting a ton of companion damage within this build, and it's still gonna be good to get Eagle Eye because we have no gun damage in this build at all. So this 20% gun damage bonus, plus picking a couple gun damage bonuses on the rings and stuff, is gonna diversify your damage types a little bit more. Even though hydras and pixies do get companion damage, like I said, you want to diversify your bonuses because companion damage is all additive with other companion damage, and then once you diversify your bonuses, it's gonna make it a little bit more multiplicative. Sorry, I know that's confusing, but just watch the rest of the video. This is still my favorite setup for this build with the weapons I'm using in particular. When it comes to the pixies, that is probably a whole other build altogether because those get spell damage, and I'm going to be messing around with those a bit more. So thanks. Back to the regular content. So what that did was it allowed me to optimize my skill tree. It also allowed me to optimize my gear because I was using this really awesome companion damage ring that I found. It's a chaotic plus companion damage plus companion crit plus companion crit chance. That's a really sick companion roll, but it's not really doing too much for the bulk of the damage in my build. Now, of course, we are using companions, so I'm not saying companion damage is useless, but it is useless for these Tediore guns. So I decided to just put on a gun damage ring, which also has pistol critical hit damage and ability critical hit damage because we are spamming our barrage a lot, and then pistol reload speed. These are just better bonuses that allowed me to crank up my damage a little more. Also, this amulet, when the Fate Maker or Companion kills an enemy, companion damage is increased by 20% for 15 seconds. I was using this amulet specifically for that ability, but you can see that my amulet on the left might even be considered slightly better. I'll actually have to farm up, a new one for this build probably in general. But mag size also helps out Tediore, so I just figured that this one was a little bit better. And then I have this other one that I didn't really try, but this is just a volatile amulet with gun damage and Spore-Born and power, which is probably pretty powerful for this build as well. And then the final thing is action skill active companion damage. That's something that I was using, and I switched off of that because most of my damage in this build comes from the guns, and it comes from our ability damage. So now that you guys know that stuff, you can optimize your builds a little bit better. And let's go over the gear, and then we'll go over the skill trees. Now, these Tediore companion builds are very, very gear reliant on the purples that you can find. And I will just say right now, I personally think that the pistols are the strongest. And specifically, I found this very, very nice pistol right here. This one, it's a weapon, a gun with wings. Now, I like the gun with wings. By the way, let me point that out to you guys, is the only 2 Tediore reloads that actually count for Faithful Thralls, for whatever reason, are gun with wings and hydras. So I wanted to stick to these 2. I know a lot of people like pixies, but I didn't use them for this build because I am a man of synergy. I like when things actually all work together. Even if the pixies are really strong, just my, like, you know, OCD is like, use the one that gets your bonus Faithful Thrall stacks. So yeah, I'm using 3-headed hydras and gun with wings. And I even found this gun with wings that has crossbolts that give 6% increased damage. And this crossbolt damage is an on-hit general bonus, and it double dips this barrage anointment. Now, for those of you who are like, you know, it's impossible for you to get this barrage anointment, which I don't blame you because it is with the economy of the reroll station. I am going to be posting a video very, very soon, if not tomorrow, then the next day, about how to dupe items and even save files on PC and PS5. And then I don't have any footage or anyone who could help me with the Xbox, but I did find some explanations that I will also be sharing in that video. So I will teach you guys how to reroll your guns a lot better because the reroll economy in this game is just terrible. It's going to be very impossible to get this anointment unless you are exploiting the game a little bit. So yeah, if you don't want to do that, that's on you. Another cool thing, just so you guys know, is you notice that my fire feriore does not have this anointment, but in the opening clips, I was throwing a couple of these against Parasite, and then I switched to this anointment. You can actually kind of anointment swap, where because this anointment triggers on hit. Now, anointment swapping only works with on hit bonuses. So gun damage, for example, is not an on hit bonus. And you're gonna have to activate that before you throw your feriore. However, if you have an on hit modifier, like the barrage anointment right here, you can actually throw these on the ground, switch to this, activate this, and then these will trigger the barrage anointment. So if you can't get the perfect roll for every gun, no worries. I really suggest getting this barrage anointment on the gun with wings, with the crossbolt damage, because this is my most used gun in this build right now, and it's non-elemental. I actually wish this was an element, so that way it would double dip the elemental damage bonus anointment. And yeah, besides that, just look for the best rings possible. You notice that, like I said, I took off my companion damage ring, and we get to use pistol crit damage now, which I think is very, very powerful, considering that if we go to the skill tree, you notice I didn't take Kindred Heart, and I took Bullseye, which is going to give us more critical hits as well. So I do think this is a better damage bonus now. For the melee weapon, I was using Snake Stick. It's not a required melee weapon for this build. It's just pretty fun because you can smack things and get more hydras and get your Faithful Thrall stacks up. However, when it comes to boss kills and stuff like that, I don't even use the Snake Stick at all. And when I found out that companion damage didn't add damage to my guns, I just switched to a random melee weapon I had in my bank that had a general damage bonus anointment. When it comes to the class mod, look at this beauty that I found while farming for this build. It has, this is the one I like the most. For now, it has Faithful Thralls on it and the Dark Hydra skill, which I think are the 2 best skills to get a class mod for. It's going to be Faithful Thralls, the Dark Hydra, and then I think Wrath of Nature is our 3rd best skill. And then when it comes to the spell, I made a video specifically on spells, but really I like the Frostburn. It's a quest reward, and it automatically summons 3 hydras. Just look for any spell that summons like 3+ hydras the easiest way possible. Or you can just use a Buffmeister, because Buffmeister is going to add a lot of damage to your bossing. However, you don't have to use Buffmeister in this build at all, and you can actually go hunt for this quest reward, which is the quest that lets you kill Castor, the giant skeleton. Finally, when it comes to the shield, like I said, we're abusing this barrage anointment on shield, which is very cool and very fun for this build. And I just have it on a Cursed Wit because this is a really strong shield in the game, although I don't think this build relies on the shield at all. And then, yeah, let's get into the skill tree. Now, it was very nice that I could figure out that companion damage was not adding to our Tediore throws, because that allowed me to not go for Kindred Heart. I noticed that even with this skill, my mushroom still dies all the time, so I really don't even think I'm missing anything from this build without this skill, and I think I'm getting more damage out of Bullseye. This is going to allow our gun companions to crit more often than not, and it even just gives your regular companions critical hit chance as well. Then I went ahead and got both the mushroom skills, because these are good utility skills. 5 out of 5 affinity, which is ability damage, because not only is this going to boost our barrage damage, which is actually adding a decent amount of damage to this build because you're going to be spamming this, but it's also should be boosting the damage of our Dark Hydras, and it's possibly boosting Hellish Blast, although I will say I didn't test this. And then finally, I did get Thrill of the Hunt, because like I said, companion damage isn't bad. It's just that it's not necessarily helping our Tediore throws, but we do have 2 other companions. We do have Dark Hydras, who should be getting damage bonuses from this. Also, one really cool thing is these Dark Hydras work with the Barrage Anointment, because the Barrage Anointment says gun and ability damage can trigger the explosions, which the Dark Hydras do trigger, and these Dark Hydras are very powerful. So the fact that these are triggering those explosions, and then possibly these poison explosions are leaving status effects and are triggering our class mod, it's just a lot of damage going into each other. And yeah, so yeah. Next, we went ahead and got Punishment, because this is a nice skill. Hellish Blast does a decent amount of damage, and if he can throw it twice, then good. Plus, we're casting our spell a lot since it has such a short cooldown. And then finally, I went and got Lord of Edges. I noticed that when I was fighting the green raid boss and he does his attack where he leaves a status effect on you, as long as I had some sort of healing going, I could actually out-heal the status effect and I wouldn't die. So I actually do think Lord of Edges is a pretty good skill. And yeah, this is the skill tree I used. This is the gear. And I had a lot of fun putting together this build, and there should be a decent amount of background footage going on to show you guys that this is a very powerful build, and it's going to be more powerful for mobbing before bossing until I can find some chaotic or volatile Tediores. I hope you guys learned a lot from this video, and the fact that Tediore throws do not get any companion damage, so you're going to be able to focus more on those other bonuses like gun damage, pistol crit, elemental damage bonuses, damage dealt, like increased damage dealt enchantments, and stuff like that. You can, I noticed that when I was focusing more on companion damage, my build was a little bit mediocre. And then after I did that damage testing, I went ahead and switched out a lot of the companion damage bonuses. And then I instantly ramped my damage up, still not using any chaotic or volatile gear. And I was able to get results that made me pretty happy. And I'm ready to move on to my next builds while I continue, you know, and then once I just randomly farm and find new Tediore pistols on those builds, I'll come back to this build later after we get some good chaotic and volatile purple Tediores. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please drop a like on it if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for more Wonderlands videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out.